Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about peer influence and how our thoughts, behaviors, actions, and words change based on who we are around and the dynamics between us and the different people in our vicinity or our company. And this got very highlighted to me this weekend when we were in an avalanche training class. And they discovered in all these trainings, all these people were learning about all this snow science and all the avalanche dangers and all the terrain observations and knowledge, and what actually affected their choice making and their risk of being caught in an avalanche was mostly the human factor, which meant what happened when they got into a group dynamic. That they could be very educated on avalanche safety. They could be very aware of the conditions that day and which choices would be the best to make. And then once they get out there and they are in that group dynamic and in that experience, that the pressures and the kind of human aspect to it is what actually influenced their decision making more so than their actual knowledge of the avalanche danger. And so it really highlights and kind of makes us recognize the importance of peer influence. And I kind of sense this already. I know this, I can feel this, but it definitely emphasized it for me that it's actually one of the most impactful, influential dynamics in our lives. Is we're making decisions, we're having thoughts, we're creating reactions very much relative to who we are around and what our relationship is and our dynamic is with this other person or these other people. And this can come in so many different ways of, is it our ego? Are we trying to impress? What's the image we're trying to portray? Maybe these certain people have a certain idea of who we are or a certain image of our personality or character, and we want to live up to that. We want to always show up that way. Maybe these people, we have a dynamic of work where we're supposed to be the leader and they're relying on us. And so that changes who we are in their aspect. Maybe there are people that we want to impress. And so we want to highlight our good sides, or we're on our best behavior. Then maybe we behave differently around people we're around all the time. We start getting comfortable. We know they'll accept us no matter what. Maybe some of our worst behavior comes out. Or it's people in dynamics that there's been past stories or past hurts. And so that changes how we act in their presence. Maybe we act less amiably towards this person than we would a stranger. And observing this just starts to build an awareness of how much this impacts who we are. And we can be one person in one group of people and somebody very different in another. And so with mindfulness, kind of our aim is that, yes, sometimes we have to play a different role based on the dynamic, our kind of role in the relationship. But the core values and what's most important to us stays the same in every relationship dynamic that we're in. So that really takes an awareness like in all of this that I always say, is knowing your core values, those heart-centered values and intentions of who you really want to be. And those are, what you're wanting to experience, what you're cultivating within, what you're sharing around you, what kind of presence you want to be for the people in your life. And these are, I always think of them, the peace, the love, the compassion, the acceptance, the gratitude. And then you can bring that, even if you're being a leader and you have to take on kind of a stronger role of keeping that dynamic in there and saying, am I still being peaceful in this setting? Am I still being compassionate in this setting? Or you can bring it into a dynamic where maybe there's rough territory, where there's been hurt, or there's resentment there. You can use your mindfulness to notice what's that motivating you to do in that situation, and can you still bring those intentions there? So it's way different than a setting where you're in your friend group and it's, you're having fun, it's very joyful. Very different setting if it's a kind of rough ground, rough relationship, but can you still be peaceful there? Can you still be compassionate there? And that's what we're trying to build a consistency of across the board in whatever social situation we are in, that we do not change who we are at our core and how we want to show up for others and the world and ourselves based on who we are around. So in the way that that applies to ourselves is we could say, am I being peaceful and compassionate to myself in this situation? And we may observe if we're in a place where we're trying to impress or we're trying to hold up to an image or an ideal, we might not be as gentle and kind to ourselves because we're pressuring ourselves to push past our limits or push past what's comfortable for us in order to live up to this expectation that's in our peers around us. So it's those core values, are they in your relationship to self in that peer dynamic? And are they present in how you're treating them? And in this course and during this time, I recognized the main ones for me are this peer expectation of living up to an image or not letting people down based on what they're expecting of me or what they're wanting. And that if somebody wants to go and ski something a lot harder, or they look at me like I'm this very experienced skier, I've been skiing all my life, I should be able to do this, I stop listening to my own wisdom, that compassion within myself, and can push myself outside of my comfort level to meet their expectation. So in that situation, I would be using my mindfulness to notice I'm feeling the pressure of the group. These are the dynamics playing on my decision making, on how I'm showing up right now. And can I remind myself of who I intentionally want to be for myself and others? And that I intentionally want to be someone who honors my truth, honors my experience, is compassionate to myself, and who, stands up for what I value. And so in that situation, I could notice what's pulling me away from being able to do that, and then I can ask myself, is this aligned with my true values? And saying, okay, if I, taking this all into consideration, focused on what really matters most and what's most important to me, I would see that that I honor my needs and my truth, and don't let that outside peer pressure change that or that influence the choice that I'm making in those core values. So I would listen to that and I would speak up and be honest and say, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not, I need to do something lighter. So that's just one example, but you can practice this week by, first step, mindfully notice what the influences are, who you're around, what kind of expectations they have, what past stories are there, what ideals you think they're holding you to. To notice the effect that has on you. What does that make you want to do? What does that kind of motivate you to move towards or act out of? 3, come back to your core values, your true intentions. Make sure you stay aligned with who you really want to be and how you want to show up for yourself and others. Remember the self in there too. And then 4, make your choice based on all that information and always grounded in your true intentions and your values. If you enjoy these teachings and would like to join us for group sessions or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. You can find these teachings and many more in my book, Living from the Heart, Healing Ourselves So We Can Heal the World. You can find that anywhere you buy your audio or print content. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I hope to see you all very soon.